Welcome to the video tutorial for this pouch, which is also the first pouch in my Crochet 6 Basics crochet tutorial series. In order to make this, you'll need about 41 yards of yarn. You'll need a 5.5mm or eye hook. You'll need scissors, a tapestry needle, and I suggest getting a stitch marker of some kind as well. But let's get started. This pattern is also available in written and chart format, which you can find down in the description. So if you want to follow along with the pattern and have that next to you, feel free. We're going to start with a slip knot. I'm going to put that on my hook. And we're going to start by chaining 31. So 1, 2, 29, 30, 31. So I've got my chain of 31, and I'm going to start by single crocheting across. So we're going to put a single crochet in the second chain from our hook. So there's 1, 2, and a single crochet in every chain across. So that's going to be 31 stitches total. Okay, so that's the last stitch in our row. You can recount it just to make sure that you've actually got 30 single crochets if you want. I'm going to trust that I have it. Our next row is going to be, we're going to start with a chain 2 and then turn our work, and then we're going to half double crochet in every stitch across. So it's going to be 30 half double crochets starting in that last stitch that we made. And we're just half double crocheting all the way across here. And making sure that I actually get into this last stitch so that we still have 30 half double crochets all the way across. We're going to do the same thing in the next row. So we're going to chain 2, and then half double crochet across again. That's a single crochet. This is a half double crochet. There we go. So now we're going to start the wave pattern. If you look at the pouch, you can see there's these little bits of waviness in there, these sort of like scallopy looks, scallopy type, pattern. So we're going to start that on this row. So this row is going to be a chain 3. Then we're going to turn. We're going to put a double crochet in that first stitch, then a half double, 2 single crochets. Yarn's getting a little tangled back here. Another half double crochet, and then another double crochet. And we're going to repeat that 5 times to go all the way across our row. So that's going to be another double crochet, half double, single, single, half double, and double. And that's going to be our little repeat. Last 2 stitches, half double crochet and double crochet. You should be ending on a double crochet here. And you can start to see that wave pattern work. You can see the double crochets are tall and the single crochets are shorter. In this next row, we'll do a chain 1, and then we're going to start with a single crochet. Now we're going to half double crochet, double crochet twice, half double crochet, and single crochet. Basically putting the opposite stitch in each stitch we did before, and what that's going to do is that's going to level out our wave, make it flat again. So you're putting a single crochet in all your double crochets, half double crochet in all your half double crochets, and a double crochet in all of your single crochets from the previous round. And that's going to be our repeat all the way to the end once again. If you ever forget where you're at, just look down at the stitch previously and see how tall it is. You can see these are really, really short. That's going to be our single crochet from the last round, so these guys get double crochets. And you should be ending half double crochet, single crochet. It's back to being flat again. Now we're going to repeat that last row we just did. So chain 1, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, and single crochet. That's creating this sort of oval shape here. We're going to repeat that same set of 6 stitches all the way across. So single, half double, 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 half double, single. And I think I missed a stitch somewhere. I missed a stitch somewhere. So now we're going to take that first row we did, we're going to do that again. So chain 3 and double crochet in that first stitch, half double crochet, single crochet, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. So we're once again putting double crochets into our single crochets into our double crochets, to even out the wave we made in that last row. And there we go. You can see the waves are starting to form a little bit here. So we're going to do that same row again. We're going to chain 3. We're going to turn our work. We're going to double crochet into that first stitch. So this row we're double crocheting in all our double crochets and single crocheting in all our single crochets from our last row. Now we're going to be back to the repeat where we start with a single crochet. So we're going to chain one. We're going to single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, and single crochet. And that's going to be our repeat for this row. We're sort of like alternating each of these to build up these waves as we go up with the pouch. I'm going to pull a bit more yarn out because it keeps getting tangled. So again, that's going to be single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, and single crochet. Doing that all the way across. Keep grabbing my yarn. We're going to repeat that last row again, so we're on another single crochet starting row. So single crochet, half double, double, double crochet, half double crochet, and then another single crochet. Doing that all the way across once again. Ever forget where you're at, like I just did, check the previous row and look at the stitch heights, and you're just copying the exact same stitch you see below. Might be a little bit hard to identify them right now if you're just beginning crochet, but you can kind of tell based off of the stitch heights. You can see that these guys are really short, so these guys are going to be single crochets. chain last few stitches, double crochet, half double crochet, and single crochet. We are back to a chain 3 and turning our work, and we are double crocheting, half double crocheting, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. And that's going to be the repeat for this round, or row. So we can do that all the way across. This row is another one of the put the single crochet in the double crochet and a double crochet in the single crochet rows. They alternate. Okay, these are going to be the last 2 rows of this wave pattern. So we're going to start with a chain 3 and double crochet in the first stitch. Same repeat as last row, double crochet, half double crochet, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet. That's going to be our repeat again. Half double crochet and double crochet to end. And this is our final row of our wave pattern. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're going to start with single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, and single crochet. And that's going to be our repeat to the end of this row. Screwed up. That's supposed to be a double crochet. Half double crochet and a single crochet to end out that row. All right, so that's the end of our wave pattern for this pouch. Next row, we're gonna just half double crochet across. So we're gonna chain 2, turn our work, and half double crochet 30 all the way across. Okay, that's the end of the row. We're now going to chain 3, turn our work, and start double crocheting across the row. I'm honestly going to recommend putting a stitch marker around that turning chain. This will just help us find this row later for when we are putting the strap for the cinch sack in. You don't have to do it, but if you struggle with identifying crochet stitches, I would do it. So again, we're just double crocheting all the way across this row. All right, last stitch of that row. Our next row is just going to be a single crochets across. So we're going to chain 1 and then single crochet 30 all the way across the row. And that's it. Okay, to finish off our work, we're going to take a pair of scissors. Since we're done, we want to cut off enough to be able to sew this edge. So these edges together and this edge across. So I'd say about, I don't know, you can eyeball it. I'd say about 18 inches. This is how much I've left. It's kind of hard to see, but this amount that's visible. And what you can do is we'll just pull that loop straight out. So that's not going to become unraveled anymore. I'll keep that stitch marker in there. And the side we've actually finished crocheting on, so we finished this row going this direction, this is the right side of our pouch. You can also tell because these bottom bumps poke out just slightly. It's a little bit hard to see on camera. Ooh. But on this side, they don't really do that. It's sort of the middle of the scallops that pushes outwards. So when you finish your pouch, the right side of the pouch, the side of the pouch that you want to face outwards will be facing you. So we're going to fold it in half this way. I'm going to grab the end of this yarn. I'm going to grab a tapestry needle right here. I'm going to thread that. And then I'm just going to do a whip stitch all the way around. So a whip stitch is just going like this. Just going through both sides. And just going to do that all the way around. You're going to want to go through like the middle of a stitch on each side. Try not to sew around the stitches. Try to go through them if you can. I'm going to leave this stitch marker here. We'll sew around it like this and it'll be okay. I'm just going to keep doing that all the way down. And you don't have to put your stitches super close together. I just tend to, for security. It can be a little bit difficult to go through a turning chain, so just try and keep an eye on that. Make sure you're going through it and not around it. I also most of the time try and line up rows to their corresponding row on the other side to make sure that I'm not like going in through one row and out through the other, like trying to go straight across here. But as long as you have the edges lined up straight so that you get to this end and the corners still match up, they're not like aligned like that, you're totally fine. Just gonna sew all the way down to the end of this. And try not to split your yarn. I mean, it's not super critical, but when you're sewing, just try to go not between, like not splitting the strand of yarn, but trying to go under strands. Last couple stitches, and then we'll make this corner. All right, I'm gonna sew just the corner, and then we're down at our starting chain. So when we're doing this, what I would suggest is you can either fold it in half and figure out this one and match up chains as you go down, which I'm just gonna do really quick. Or you can just figure out what chains look like they match up and just sew. So I'll go under both of these. So it kind of looks like I've got 4 loops there. That's just how I'm going to sew this one. Just going under both of those. Under both of those, matching up stitches, just so it's nice and aligned. It's not going to be perfect. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a cinch sack. Just gotta make sure that nothing is going to fall out. gonna make sure my yarn stops unwinding itself. Okay. See, the entire pouch is sewn. That's all done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to weave in my ends, and basically what that is kind of just, you know, sewing it underneath. Everybody's got their own way of doing it. I just kind of like tuck it underneath individual strands of yarn. So you can kind of see here if I get a little bit closer. You can see I'm going under each of these strands. Probably weave in a little bit more than most people and a little bit less than others. I don't know. Everybody's got their own way of doing it. And especially right now, do your absolute best to not sew through both sides of the pouch. Because we're just weaving in our end. We don't want to sew the pouch together on these corners. So that's woven in. I'm going to grab my scissors. I'm going to cut that relatively close. And where's it zoomed out again? I'm going to cut that relatively close, about there. See, there's just a little bit of a tail there. Stretch it out and it kind of goes away. I'm going to do the same thing with the tail from our slip knot. This one's a little bit shorter. Probably could have left it a little longer. It's all right. And we'll start weaving this one in. Same exact thing. Trying to make sure that you're not going through both sides of your pouch. Just weaving it in. And yeah, this is why it helps to have a little bit longer tail on your slip knot so it doesn't fall out of your needle. Like mine keeps doing. And that's probably pretty good. I'm going to cut this one off as well. And that's it. So that is the pouch itself done. Now we need to make the piece of chain that'll actually cinch it together. So let's flip this back right side out. And I'm going to take this stitch marker and shove it through to the other side. So it's a little bit clearer where it is. So for this, I don't know what you'd call it, the strand of yarn thing, you can either just use a piece of yarn. I find that using a chain looks a little bit nicer. You can see that's what's here in this one. So I'm going to use a contrasting color so that you guys can see it a little bit easier, and because it's kind of fun. You don't have to, but it does make it a little easier to show. So I'm going to start with my slip knot. Pull some yarn out. Move everything in my setup. And we're going to chain about 40. So we want it to be about twice as long as this. And I found that for me, 40 is a good number. So I'm going to chain 40. So that's going to be 40. That should cover it enough. I'm going to grab my scissors, cut this a little bit longer. We're going to use these ends to tie a knot, so make sure they're just a little bit longer. Set that off to the side. I'm going to grab my tapestry needle again. And we're going to start sewing this in through that row that we marked. So if it's folded in half, there's a couple different ways you can figure out where you need to start. One is we've looped around this chain, so we're going to count 15 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and we're going to go under double crochets 15 and 16, which if you look here, it's not quite centered, which does happen. The other way to do it is just like fold it in half and hope that you've gotten centered. So we're going to go under those 2 middle double crochets there. You can see that a little bit. Going under those 2 double crochets. We're going to go over 3. You can see I've skipped one here. I've screwed up a little bit. So we skipped one here, but we're going to go over 3 and then under 2 again. If you don't screw up, that's not going to happen. I can't fix it now, but we go over 3, under 2, over 3, get the focus right again, over 1, 2, 3, and under the next 2. And what you should be ending on, I'm going to pull that because I've accidentally split the yarn. Whoops. What you should have here is over 3, under 1, but I screwed up. So I'm just going to go over 2, under 1 because I missed a stitch. It happens. This other side should be completely normal. So it'll be over 3, so 1, 2, 3, under 2, over 3, under 2, and over 3, under 1 on this side. Oops, I've accidentally caught the other side of the yarn. Over 3, under 1 to finish. Usually what I've done with these is I've gone under this one as well as under that starting chain. So that way they meet up both on in this middle space and they don't have this little piece between them. So I'm going to actually take the other side and sew it underneath that starting chain as well. So they're coming out of the same space. You don't have to do this. It's something that I prefer to do personally, but by no means necessary. There we go. And they're going to be a little bit uneven at the start once you first finish it. That's totally fine. It's kind of the nature of cinch sacks. We can remove that stitch marker now, and we'll finish this off. We'll secure this by just doing a knot around these guys. A little bit tricky because I didn't leave my tails long enough, but that's okay. And I'd say try and get your knot as close to the end of your chains as possible. Try not to leave a ton of gap. So about like that. You see how that's like basically right over top of the end of the chains right there? That's kind of the look you want. Now we're done with that. Can trim these just a little bit and make it look a little bit cleaner. And that's it. That is the cinch sack project done. You can see it's a little bit gappy there when I messed up, but this is how it should look at the end. So that is your pouch all done. Thanks for following along with me. If you've been following with the Crochet 6 Basics series, we are now moving on to the second half where we do stuff that's a little bit more complicated, but not really. And we have the second pouch coming up. So thanks again for following along with me, and I hope to see you around.